When the world collapses into chaos and the cities choke under smoke and screams, your mind drifts to one thought: an island. A lonely stretch of sand surrounded by miles of ocean, where no zombie could possibly wade or stumble toward you. A paradise of coconuts, sunsets, and peace, or so you think. The fantasy is seductive. You, a hammock, the sound of waves, and 0 undead neighbors. But the truth, like the tide, hides sharp rocks beneath its shimmer. Surviving on an island in a zombie apocalypse might be heaven, or the slowest, most scenic way to die imaginable. Let's start with the obvious charm: isolation. Zombies don't swim. At least, not well. Most undead lack motor coordination, let alone the lung capacity for a breaststroke. The ocean becomes your moat, your natural barrier. If you manage to reach an island early, before the chaos consumes every boat and harbor, you've essentially built yourself a floating fortress. The hordes may roam the mainland, but the sea keeps them away, moaning faintly across the waves like haunted foghorns. You can walk barefoot on the sand, set up camp near the palms, and for the first time in months, sleep without checking every creek for footsteps. But this dream rests on one fragile foundation. Isolation cuts both ways. The same ocean that protects you also traps you. On an island, you're as safe from zombies as you are stuck from supplies. No matter how peaceful your little paradise feels, you're now in a prison made of salt water and silence. That's fine if the island is lush, full of fresh water, fruit, and fish. It's death if it's just a barren rock with a few coconuts and no shade. You might start feeling like the star of a zombie version of Castaway, painting faces on coconuts and arguing with seagulls about moral philosophy while your ribs start to show through your sunburn. Still, let's assume you picked wisely. Your island has palm trees, maybe a stream, and enough vegetation to keep you alive. The first few days will be glorious: clean air, the sound of waves, the sky bleeding gold at sunset. You'll think, I've beaten the apocalypse. You'll build a hut, make a fire, maybe spear a fish or two, humming to yourself like the world's last happy human. But survival is a marathon, not a beach vacation. After a week, you'll notice your firewood pile shrinking. After a month, your supplies from the boat, if you had any, start running out. After 3 months, your fishing line breaks and the coconuts don't taste like paradise anymore. They taste like repetition and despair. The biggest threat to an island survivor isn't zombies, it's logistics. Water, food, and energy. Let's break that down without actually breaking it down, because there's no part 1 or part 2 in an apocalypse. You need fresh water. If the island doesn't have a spring or a rain catchment system, you're doomed. Saltwater dehydration isn't cinematic. It's madness wrapped in sunlight. You'll hallucinate, your lips will crack, and the irony will crush you, surrounded by water but dying of thirst. So your survival depends on engineering. Collect rainwater. Build condensation traps with plastic sheets if you're lucky enough to have them. Fashion containers from hollowed coconuts or bamboo. Every drop becomes gold, and every cloud on the horizon a promise. Next, food. Fishing becomes your religion. You'll learn tides, currents, and patience. A spear, a net, even sharpened sticks will do. You'll eat fish until you dream of scales. But variety is your body's demand. Scurvy doesn't care how cool you look with your spear. You'll need fruit, leaves, roots, anything green. And that's where the environment decides whether you live like Robinson Crusoe or die like a forgotten sailor. If your island has soil and vegetation, you can plant, forage, and thrive. If it's all coral and rock, you're basically a tourist waiting for death, with the added bonus of zombies occasionally washing ashore like driftwood from hell. And yes, that can happen. Zombies don't drown quickly. Some float, some drift. Picture this. You're sitting by the campfire, listening to the waves, when something bumps against the shore. You turn your head, and there it is, a bloated corpse, its eyes white and wide, carried by the tide. It drags itself across the sand, bones cracking with the rhythm of the surf. You grab your spear, not to hunt, but to defend. Welcome to the world's weirdest beach party. So much for your zombie-free paradise. Then there's the weather. Islands are paradise until nature sneezes. Tropical storms, monsoons, hurricanes, all of them love visiting uninvited. Without proper shelter, one night of violent rain can undo weeks of effort. You can't fight a storm with palm leaves and optimism. The apocalypse may have wiped out humanity, but the planet kept its sense of humor. While the mainland survivors hide in bunkers, you'll be clinging to a tree, yelling into the wind as the ocean eats half your camp. And even if you build strong, let's say you found an abandoned resort or some kind of fishing outpost, you still face loneliness. Isolation erodes the mind. Days blend together. Time becomes a loop. You might start talking to seagulls, naming the waves, or seeing faces in the driftwood. The apocalypse has many forms, the undead outside and the madness inside. Solitude becomes the true infection. However, being on an island does give you one tactical advantage: control. Unlike a city or a mall, you decide who enters your world. You can build defenses, set up perimeter alarms with cans and strings, and sleep knowing the only way zombies get to you is if Poseidon himself decides he's bored. You can create your own miniature civilization: rules, routines, rituals. Light a fire at sunset, cook your fish, check the traps, record the tides. Routine is survival's rhythm. Without it, even paradise collapses into chaos. But islands also attract desperation. Other survivors might find you, and humans in the apocalypse can be worse than zombies. A boat on the horizon could mean salvation or slaughter. You might wave for help, only to find the newcomers aren't interested in sharing your coconuts. They're interested in taking them. Defending your island means preparing for both the living and the dead. And on a small piece of land, there's nowhere to run. It's not just survival, it's sovereignty. Energy becomes your next problem. No power, no refrigeration, no long-term storage. The sun is your friend and enemy. Perfect for drying fish, brutal for your skin. Solar panels, if you can find them, are gold. They give you light, a radio, maybe even a fan. But when they break, you're back to the Stone Age, waving palm leaves for breeze and talking to the moon. Still, there's something almost poetic about it. In a world where humanity burned itself out, you're living on nature's terms again. You hunt, you gather, you listen to the tides. Every sunrise is a victory. Every storm survived a story. You might not have Netflix or hot coffee, but you have the kind of peace no city ever knew. Maybe you even start to like it. The quiet, the simplicity, the rhythm of survival. The apocalypse stripped away the noise, and what's left is you against the elements. Yet the universe never lets comfort last. Supplies decay. Fishing spots dry up. Your tools rust. Your shoes wear thin. The ocean that once guarded you becomes your wall of isolation again. You might think of building a raft, exploring nearby islands, searching for signs of life. But every time you look at that endless horizon, it whispers the same warning. If you leave, you might not find your way back. And so the days go on. You build, rebuild, adapt. You talk less, listen more. You learn the patterns of birds, the direction of wind, the secret language of waves. You become part of the island. And maybe that's the point. Survival isn't about living forever. It's about living enough. So, is surviving on an island in a zombie apocalypse good or bad? The answer depends on you. If you can fish, craft, think, and endure the silence, it's heaven. If you need Wi-Fi, friends, and air conditioning, it's hell with nice weather. The island gives you freedom from zombies, but chains you to nature's mercy. It's beautiful, brutal, and honest, the world stripped down to its bones. In the end, the island doesn't promise safety. It offers solitude, challenge, and the rarest thing in an apocalypse, peace. Whether you see that peace as paradise or punishment depends on how long you can listen to the waves before they start to sound like the whispers of the dead.